Hi, my name is Javier and I am going to present my research that proposed the concept of blockchain federation and use it for the integration of distributed health data in a patient-centered way. In recent times, the medicine and healthcare digitalization are promoting the creation of resources like electronic health record of the inclusion of Internet of Medical Things device in health processes. Well, while the creation of electronic health record has helped health systems, there are still many limitations to them, especially from the patient's perspective. Actually, healthcare institutions store the data of the patient in their own information system in an isolated way. The same happens with Internet of Medical Things device. Because of this, if a patient visits different healthcare institutions or use this device, the patient information is scattered across different information systems. Having all the health information of a patient organized in a unique global view will help to improve the care provided to a patient. We call this view as personal health trajectory. In a globalized and technological society such as ours, it's more frequent that a person interact with different health institutions or use device to measure his health. We can illustrate this problem with a sample. Paula is a Spanish woman who suffers from diabetes. On one of her trips to China, Paula suffered a fainting spell due to hypoglycemia. She is treated in a health center in China, where she is measured for blood glucose. However, when Paula returns to Spain, she cannot give the data of this measurement to her usual doctor, because they have been stored in the Chinese health system. Something similar happens with her smart glucometer. Only a few of the measurements she takes at home are transcribed to her health record. If Paula has another fainting spell, her doctor cannot access her latest blood glucose measurement. This is only an example of the consequences of doesn't have a personal health trajectory with the patient data. In order to solve this, we performed this research. In this presentation, we are going to show the revision of the literature that we performed previously to define our proposal, introduce our proposal or solution, and show the results we obtained on an initial validation of the proposal. Finally, we introduce the future works in this research line and comment the conclusions. The first thing to do was to review the literature, searching information about the problem we face. This problem is not new. People in the medical field have been calling for technological solutions to resolve this situation for years. After that, we searched for papers from researchers in the field of technology who were already working on integrating data from healthcare systems in a patient-centered way. In this line, we have found two types of solutions. Solutions that integrate the data in the same storage systems and solutions that make interoperable data storage in a distributed way. The discussion between which of these solutions is better is present in the literature in many previous studies, concluding in many cases that the most promising solutions are those of the second type, using in many cases blockchain as the technology to make the information interoperable. However, these solutions are not free of discussion. Although this type of solutions are less intrusive than the first one for health institutions and services, because they do not physically integrate the data, they have other limitations, mainly a great difficulty to access the data and the need of defining who will be in charge of maintaining that structure and manage access to it. In this sense, another important consideration is that the most of actual proposals not take attention to facilitate the development of software aware of the integrated data. For all this, the current proposal has limitations that impede their implementation in current health systems. To try to solve this problem, we propose a solution of the second type, where the limitations mentioned for this type of proposal are mitigated. As do most of the proposals of this type, we will use blockchain. Specifically, our proposal of solution is based on the concept of blockchain federation that we define by first time in this paper. This concept is similar to concepts like multi-chain, but differs from them. In blockchain federation applied to health data, each patient has a blockchain with their data, and another upper blockchain, the main blockchain, is employed by institutions and services for the localization of the patient blockchain. In this way, institution, and service locate and interact with the data stored in patient blockchain across the main blockchain, while each patient interacts with her data across her blockchain directly. Using this concept, we define an architecture. In this architecture, each patient has a blockchain, where the reference to his electronic record are stored, obtaining his personal health trajectory. References are stored in the block instead of the data because blockchain is not prepared to store in this block data as heavy and so medical tests. The data is still stored in the information system of each institution or service that generated it, specifically in the resources APIs that offer themselves a web service. As we say in the paper, the resources API can be replaced by the actual storage system of the information system if they provide a way to offer data by means of a web service. In the whole system, there can only be one blockchain per patient, which will be deployed in the information system of her main health system, for example. In order to make the personal health trajectory data of each patient accessible by the health professional of the different institution at all times, the main blockchain is implemented, which is on charge of federate the blockchain of the patients. This blockchain stores a reference to each patient blockchain to where each patient blockchain is deployed. In this way, health professional can access the patient data in case of emergency without the patient permissions. The information system of each institution and service must have a node of this main blockchain, shared by all of them. We materialize the presented architecture in a series of components that we have implemented, specifically the components that are deployed in the information system of the institution and service that integrate their patient data, and the components that allow the development of software aware of the personal health trajectory. Using this component, we allow the development of patient-centered or personal health trajectory aware health system and applications. In this sense, we define a procedure that personal health trajectory aware system and application must follow in the use of the proposed components. The personal health trajectory aware application interact with the resources API for retrieve and store documents using the reference that they obtain from the patient personal health trajectory stored in her blockchain. This last is transparent for application thanks to the use of connectors for the abstraction of the interaction with blockchains. Using this component, we have developed a concrete implementation of a system where uses our proposal to manage patient data in the scenario of Paula showed in motivation. In this way, a validation of the proposal has been performed. The hypotheses to be confirmed or rejected in this validation are that the data are integrated correctly and Paula's doctor is able to access the data recorded in China. Some system performance measurement has also been taken. From the results obtained in the validation, we have concluded that both hypotheses are confirmed. Moreover, thanks to the performance test, we have seen that the time handled by the architecture are acceptable. The heavy is that of adding an evidence to the patient blockchain. This is normal because at that moment a new block is being minted in the patient blockchain. The times shown in the table are an average obtained for each operation after 20 executions. Before conclude, we note that the validation performing is still a very initial validation, and that we need to perform a more complete validation. This is precisely the next step in our research. Perform a validation with a scalability test, stress test, more performance test, and a formal comparison of our proposal with other actual proposals. Having commented on all the above, we can conclude the work. In this work, we have defined a new concept, the blockchain federation. Thanks to it, we have changed a personal health trajectory where patient data is correctly integrated and remains accessible to the institutions. In addition, in the proposal, we pay attention to enable the development of software aware of the personal health trajectory, and this has been achieved, allowing the development of new patient-centered health systems. And well, that's all. Following the link in the description of the video or by scanning the code in the screen, you can see a demo video of the tool presented in this paper applied to the scenario of Paula. Thank you for your attention and see you at the workshop. In this paper, apply to the scenario of Paula. Thank you for your attention and see you at the workshop.
Okay, Javier. Thank you. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Very, very interesting topic, very interesting initiative to use blockchain in the context of the healthcare system. Then I would say some words about your work. This work addresses a real world problem. This is very interesting. Yeah, and makes sense use blockchain in this context of like Paula's example of would like to have this kind of system to use. Yeah, and congratulations for this initiative. Then I would go to the question. We have a question from Lina. She said some of there are critical issues about the use of blockchain architecture because they require a great amount of resource like energy to be functional. Have you estimated the possible environment impacts and resource consumption of your architecture?
Well, that's true. We demonstrate during the validation that operation like meaning a new block to add a new test to the very cost because we need 4 seconds or similar to add at least only one test for a patient. In order to mitigate this problem, is choose the use of Hyperledger Iroha because Iroha is characterized by being a very thin blockchain technology, which could be deployed even on certain smartphones. This is a point in this paper, so that of the blockchain in their smartphone in the future. We try to mitigate the problem with this, but it's true that we need a more complex validation to show the scalability of this proposal, like we say in the future works.
No, okay. We have a question from Francis. She said, you mentioned in the future work that you would like to compare your system with other proposals. Which are there, this other proposal?
In the use of blockchain to integrate the is not the only solution. We have also found a solution that employ traditional databases, not SQL database.
Javier, you stopped?
We need to compare the advantage or proposal.
Yeah,
Can you hear
now
me?
it's okay.
Okay. We need to compare our proposal with proposal that use this other method, like traditional databases.
Okay, okay. And in your, yeah, Elena, yes, you lost the connection, but I think now it's okay, yes? Elena, it's okay for you? Javier, are you hearing me?
Yes, sí.
Okay.
O sea, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, yeah. In your evaluation, validation of the architecture, you said about 20 execution of the operation. What exactly means 20 execution of the operations in the context of this validation?
That we add 20 different tests to the patient in order to show the times handled in each of these operations to make an average.
Yeah, okay. The sound is not good, Franz. The sound or other stuff? Yeah. Well, Javier, are you here? Are you there? Javier?
Yes, I can hear you.
Javier?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Another question, yeah. Let me see the time that we have. We have 5 minutes, okay? Yes. Yeah. In your...
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Javier, I think your connection or your internet is not so good, maybe. You try to speak louder or slowly.
I lose your connection sometimes,
But
Javier, maybe if you close your video, keep your voice. Yeah, maybe it's better.
yes. Yeah.
Okay?
can you hear me now?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Please continue. Please continue, Javier. Javier, are you there? Javier?
Do you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, hear you. And you?
Yes.
Yes.
I
Okay.
heard you.
Okay, good. Yeah, yes. Yeah. I would like to do another question about your validation. In your validation, you consider viability or sustainability or suitability of the solution, yes?
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes.
continue.
Continue. Sí. O sea, continue, please.
Okay, and for the future, you would like to validate performance, scalability, and other quality attributes of your implementation, yes?
Yes.
Okay, yes. And uh, and I have another question here. Do you know how it's difficult to disseminate this solution for different institutions? Because it's not hard to convince different institutions to adopt a new solution like using new technology like blockchain. Do you think is a provocative question? I'm sorry, but do you think it's easy to convince institutions to use or to adopt or to deploy the system into the institutions?
Uh, we have we are in contact with some institution of Portugal to initiate this phase of validation. Specifically, we collaborate with researchers in the field of health from the University of Évora. We are involved in the development of an integrated platform for the assessment of elderly that it is employed by different institutions in Portugal. And our idea for the second phase of the validation is to propose them to employ the proposal shown in this paper to enable the sharing of health data from elderly that interact with many of them, validating in this way the applicability of our proposal in a real world scenario.
Ah, okay, yes. We have 1 minute. May I do the last question or the last comment? Okay. My PhD student investigate blockchain to be used in the Industry 4.0 context. Then she discovered that the blockchain is not very good to like a unique solution for the interoperability in the Industry 4.0 system. Then it's necessary to put together other solutions and combine this solution with blockchain to have a good solution at the end. Then maybe it's interesting to investigate together in the context of healthcare solutions together blockchain. For instance, in the Industry 4.0 system, blockchain is not so good for compatibility of data and services. Then it's necessary to combine blockchain with other solutions to achieve this quality attribute in that context in the Industry 4.0. Then maybe for the future, it's interesting to investigate other solutions together to put in your system. Okay, Javier?
Okay.
Only suggestion. Yeah?
Thank you for the...
Okay. We have only, it's finishing. I would like to say thank you very much, Javier, to submit a paper for this workshop and provide your